Shavua Tov, Agut Tevoch. I'm going to tell story number 65 of the Shivchei Shem Tov. And the story number 65 is called Eshes Rabbi Avraham HaMalach, the wife of Rabbi Avraham HaMalach. Now, special detail, the author of the book says, Shemati Ramodeinu Menachem Nachum in Chernobyl. I heard from our teacher of Moreinu, Rabbi Menachem Nachum of Chernobyl, that heard these stories from the daughter-in-law of the Rebbe, the Maggid of Mesrich. She was the wife of our Rav Moreinu Avraham HaMalach. So now the story focuses on the wife of Rabbi Avraham HaMalach. In how does the author of the book hear it from Rabbi Menachem Nachum of Chernobyl, who heard it directly from the person who lived through this. When Rabbi Avraham HaMalach was married for a brief time and his wife passed away, so when he became a widower, being the son of the Maggid, may Hashem bless the memory of the tzaddik. So tzaddik, I think it refers to that by the time this story is being told, Rav Avraham HaMalach himself has already passed away. When Rav Avraham became a widower, when his first wife passed away, the Maggid called two of the heads of the community and sent them in a special mission. He told them to go to the community of Kremenetz, way far in the north, and to arrange their shidduch for his son, may he have a long life, he said then, with the daughter of Rav Modeinu Feibel, the author of the book Mishnat Chachamim, and bring her here. Arrange a shidduch and bring her here to do the wedding. Immediately they did as the Maggid said. They prepared a good car with the horses, and they dressed in their finest clothing to exalt the greatness of the Rebbe, and they went on their way. And when they arrived to the community of Kremenetz, they stay overnight, lodged in a chsania, in an inn overnight. After they rested from the long trip, immediately after the morning prayer, Shachris, they went to the house of Moreinu Harav Feibel. Now the minhag, the custom, how this Moreinu Harav Feibel lived, he would not worry about issues of the world, mundane issues. He would not worry about his own parnasa. He would dedicate the entire day learning Torah, day and night. It was his wife's responsibility to worry about the income, the parnasa. So when they arrived to the house of Rav Feibel, the wife was coming back to the house from the shul, from the synagogue. So she greeted them, my brethren, where do you come from? And they said, we come from the Holy Kehillah of Mesrich. And what do you do here? What are you here to arrange some negotiation, to do something else? So they told her what happened. How the Rebbe, the Maggid, the Mesricher Maggid, had sent them to speak about the marriage of their daughter with the son of the Maggid that had just become a widower, a young widower. They told her, our Rebbe sent us to propose marriage, and she laughed. The wife of Rav Feibel, Rabbeinu Feibel. She laughed because, first of all, she had never heard about the Maggid. She didn't know the name. And her daughter, now this is going to be controversial, except that at the time that this story was happening was still an acceptable practice. Her daughter was only 12 years old. You cannot think about this in modern terms. No? She had never thought of arranging shidduchim for her daughter. But after they insisted, making the offer many, many times, with registering her head what they're saying, and she said, well, isn't my husband Baruch Hashem here? He should take care of this. Whatever is good in his eyes, we should do. So they sent for him to be called in the Beis Medrash, in the house of study, and he came home. And they discussed it with the Rav, Moreinu Rav Feibel, until they came to an agreement. They resolved the issue, and immediately they called for a sofer, for a scribe, to write the Shtar HaTanaim. Shtar HaTanaim is the contract prior to the wedding. All the details about how they will get married. Mazal Tov. When they started writing the Tanaim, the Shluchim, the emissaries of the Maggid said, write as is good in your eyes, as if you write into a king. But one thing must be clear. We cannot, in any shape or form, delay the date of the wedding. As a Maggid says, that's when it needs to happen. So the people of the family of the Kala, of the bride, Rav Feibel and his wife, they said, but our sages, Zotzal, of our blessed memory, our sages said that when a young girl is getting married, you need to give her 12 months from the engagement to the wedding. We had never even thought that we were going to getting her married so soon. She doesn't have the proper clothing. There was an explanation here, mem, which is in Hebrew, mate motza, Stephen Beridin. She doesn't have all the garments for a wife, or a. So we can't. We need some time to get things together. So the shluchim, the emissaries of the Maggid, answered, we're not so makpidim, we're not so strict in those issues that she has to bring all these things. In any case, we cannot postpone the date of the wedding. She will come with us immediately. Since he knew, Rav Feibel knew that the words of the Maggid come from above, so he accepted. So they made another agreement with Rav Feibel, is that he will not stop his Torah study. He will go back to the Medrash and stay there. This is highly unusual. He stays learning, and his wife and daughter will go to the wedding. So they rented a good cart with horses for his wife and daughter, and they went along with the shluchim, the emissaries of the Maggid. During the way back, on the way to Mesrich, the mother of the bride started having doubts, having questions in her head. She couldn't process how she had been convinced, how she had let herself be convinced that this was going to happen. When they arrived in the community of Rovno, they saw that the people of the city, from the youngest to the oldest, the women, the men, the children, they all came to welcome them and greet the bride, the future daughter-in-law of the big Rav, the Maggid, the Rabbi Maggid. So when she saw this, she changed her mind. She realized this is something really special. And when they arrived in Mesrich, the people of the city were coming out to greet them, the elderly and the children, and there was such a great multitude that it was hard to continue with the cart, and they started going really slow. The women were coming to say Mazel Tov and to greet them until they arrived in the house of the Maggid. And then people were coming from all directions, and then they went to an inn, to an achsania, to stay over the night. They did the wedding, and the celebration lasted for 7 days of great happiness. The chuppah, and then there is 7 days of the Sheva Brachos, the 7 blessings. And during these great meals and dancing and celebration, there was lots of divrei Torah with the honors of a king, royal honors. After the wedding celebrations were completed, the now mother-in-law of Rabbi Avraham HaMalach went back to her house, very happy. She had never seen or heard anything like that in her life. This was... The Maggid was very fond of his new daughter-in-law. He liked his daughter. Now, one night she had a dream. And in her dream, she was in a very big, luxurious room. And there was in front of her a Sanhedrin of old men. So is the expression in Hebrew. Sanhedrin meaning like a tribunal, like a trial of these old men, many of them. And they presented her a case that they had to take her husband above, meaning to heaven. It was time for her husband to leave this world. She yelled at them and she argued and she complained in front of this Besdin, and she woke up, and that was her dream, and she didn't tell anybody. Not even when she was in the house of the Rabbi Maggid, her father-in-law, she mentioned anything. The second night she had the same dream, and she didn't say it to anyone. The third night again, she's in front of this Sanhedrin of elderly people, and she begged them for a long time and argued until they told her, okay, your arguments are good, you are correct, we're going to give them to you as a gift, as a matana, for 12 years. Next morning, when she went to the house of the Rabbi Maggid, of her father-in-law, in the morning, he greeted her and congratulated her and gave her a bracha for the way she had begged and argued for such a long time in the favor of her son for 12 years. And so it was. Rabbi Avraham HaMalach lived for 12 years after the day of this dream. I know this, it doesn't say that she told the Maggid even the third night. He knew it and he just congratulated her. This is the first part of the story, which is quite long. I will continue next week and we'll hopefully finish it then. Shavua Tov, a gute Woche.